Hey Cowboys Nation, let's go for another round of news from America's team. Watch until the end so you don't miss any news and sign up to stay tuned for everything that comes out about the Cowboys.
Cowboys keep Mike McCarthy after Packers playoff debacle. The Dallas Cowboys have finally made their decision on the future of Mike McCarthy on the heels of the team's embarrassing playoff loss to the Green Bay Packers in the NFL wildcard round, opting to retain the embattled head coach for the 2024 season, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. The Cowboys had high hopes for a deep run in the NFL playoffs after topping the NFC East division with another 12-win campaign under McCarthy. However, the franchise's Super Bowl dreams turned into a nightmare when Jordan Love and the Packers demolished Dallas in Arlington last weekend to the tune of a 48-32 score. The loss to a Green Bay side quarterbacked by someone who was making just his first start in the postseason immediately opened the floodgates of speculations about McCarthy's job security and future with the team. Mike McCarthy's time with Cowboys largely defined by shortcomings in the playoffs. McCarthy's first season as head coach of the Cowboys saw the team miss the playoffs with just a 6-10 record, good for only third in the NFC East division. However, it did not take long before Dallas experienced regular season success under the former Packers tactician. In 2021, the Cowboys won their first division title with McCarthy, going 12-5 and securing a home field advantage for a wild-card matchup versus the San Francisco 49ers. However, the Cowboys were sent careening out of Super Bowl contention after losing to the Niners, 23-17. In the 2022 campaign, the Cowboys went 12-5 again and won their first playoff game with McCarthy, beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the wild card before running into the Niners anew, this time in the divisional round. Once more, Dallas fell prey at the hands of San Francisco. The Cowboys are still looking to rekindle old glory in the playoffs. It has been a while since Dallas last played beyond the divisional round of the playoffs. That was way back in the 1993 season when the Cowboys won a Super Bowl. Since then, it's been one disappointing season after another for America's team. At some point, the postseason slump will end for Dallas. The question is whether Dallas will have enough to break the vicious cycle of playoff failures as soon as the 2024 NFL season. Cowboys quarterback could be cap casualty in offseason, analyst. The Dallas Cowboys could make a move at quarterback this offseason. With the team facing salary cap issues entering the offseason, they're $11 million in the red in cap space. There will likely be cap casualties for the Cowboys. One of those players pitched as a potential cap casualty is none other than quarterback Cooper Rush. According to Bleacher Report's Christopher Knox, the Cowboys could move on from Rush. His cap hit is $2.9 million for the 2024 season, and save $2.3 million. His dead cap hit would only be $625,000 if the Cowboys released him this offseason. Dumping Rush would only save $2.3 million in cap space, but it's an easy cut to justify, and the Cowboys need all the cap space they can muster, writes Knox. Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb are both entering the final year of their current deals and are very likely to receive extensions in 2024. Why Cooper Rush is a valuable Cowboys backup. The 30-year-old Rush has been a longtime backup on the Cowboys roster and has been in the organization since entering as an undrafted free agent in 2017. Rush saw minimal playing time during his first 5 seasons, starting just 1 game. However, he broke out in 2022 while starting 5 games for an injured Dak Prescott early in the season. Rush went 4-1 in those starts, kept the Cowboys' season alive. They eventually made it to the playoffs, and threw 5 touchdowns against 3 interceptions for an 80.0 passer rating. In fact, his 1.9% interception percentage was a massive upgrade over Prescott's 3.8% interception rate, which was the worst in the league. That efficient season led to Rush signing a 2-year deal worth $6 million for the Cowboys this past offseason. Trey Lance's presence could lead to Cowboys releasing Cooper Rush. With that being said, the acquisition of former number 3 overall pick Trey Lance in a preseason trade with the San Francisco 49ers may spell the end for Rush. However, last offseason's trade for San Francisco 49ers signal caller and former first-round pick Trey Lance makes Rush somewhat expendable, writes Knox. If Dallas doesn't believe it can develop Lance into a capable long-term backup, then dealing a fourth-round pick to secure him was a waste. Lance doesn't appear to be a threat to Prescott's gig as the starting quarterback, but he should present a threat to Rush's longtime role as a backup. Although he didn't take a single snap during the 2023 season, there are some expectations for Lance considering the Cowboys gave up a fourth-round pick in order to acquire him. We view it as an opportunity that could pay dividends this year and will pay dividends, long-term. Jones said regarding the Lance trade back in August, via John Makota of The Athletic. Lance has 1 year left on his deal, the final year of his rookie deal, at $5.3 million. While Lance obviously doesn't have experience in the Cowboys system when it comes to game reps, he does have experience starting for the Niners, going 2-2 in 4 starts with 5 touchdowns against 3 interceptions with 797 passing yards, an 84.5 passer rating and 235 rushing yards. Considering the Cowboys have looming contract extensions to sign with Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, it wouldn't be surprising at all if they save a few million by moving on Rush and promoting Lance as the primary backup quarterback. No guarantee that Dallas Cowboys DC Dan Quinn gets head coaching job this offseason. The dust has settled on the season-ending loss for the Dallas Cowboys, and at this point we are waiting for word from Jerry Jones on the future. At this moment, the only significant change that could be made, given that we are still in the middle of the NFL playoffs, would be with regards to the coaching staff. Dallas could look to move on from head coach Mike McCarthy. We should know more later this week, and for a few weeks now we have been resigned to the idea that a new defensive coordinator would be needed. Dan Quinn has, for the 3rd year in a row, generated a lot of attention and is theoretically a wanted commodity. To date, Quinn has been requested by 5 different teams. We are tracking this for you right here, and while he makes sense with one specifically, Seattle, there is a world where he is not chosen by any of them. What happens then? It is not necessarily a guarantee that Dan Quinn will get a head coaching job this offseason over each of the last 2 offseasons. Dan Quinn has chosen to return to the Cowboys and serve as their defense coordinator, which sounds great on the surface. But would it be a leap to say that no team has made Quinn an offer that he couldn't refuse? Clearly not, since he refused them all. Quinn has had remarkable success overseeing Micah Parsons and company, but on some level everybody who has considered him a head coaching candidate since has let him leave the building, so to speak. Coupling that reality with our current one in that Dan Quinn has faltered for the Cowboys down the stretch, is it not another logical leap to conclude that maybe everyone will feel called more in other directions? It is not helping Quinn's case that his most recent stretch was one of his worst and that his unit collapsed further and further as the season wore on. It would be unfair and illogical to exclusively look at the most recent 7 games of work from Dan Quinn, but they clearly matter and might ultimately weigh more than anything else. Why hire someone when they have literally been fading at an incredibly high rate? Quinn has done an incredible job of creating a sort of secret sauce with the Cowboys, but it has been reliant on several key ingredients, and one critical one in generating turnovers. In his 3 seasons with the team, the Cowboys are 3-9 in games where they do not generate a turnover, and while that is fairly normal amongst contenders, it still proves that they are not necessarily capable of surviving and forcing enough stops that are not directly taking the ball away. A big reason that Quinn has been able to generate so many turnovers with the Cowboys has been the defensive talent that he has to work with, namely Micah Parsons. Others may not have that key piece on their roster for Quinn to benefit from, so again it seems conceivable that every team could potentially pass on him. For what it is worth, ESPN's Dan Graziano predicted who will be the head coach of every team with a vacancy on Wednesday and did not have Quinn filling a single post. The Seattle job went to Mike Vrabel in the prediction, if you are curious. This would mean that Quinn would be available, and while we recently had a conversation here at BTB about him potentially filling the head coaching job in the building that he already works in, what if the only option is for him to return as defensive coordinator? Would anybody want that? It is clear that changes are necessary for the Cowboys in a macro sense, but this one felt out of their control. Are they willing to get rid of Dan Quinn themselves? Is he the fall guy for everything that has happened? It is clear that changes are necessary on defense, but again what he has done over 3 seasons as a whole is impressive. Moving on may sound like the best idea but is hardly a slam dunk sort of proposition.